Imagine an archaeologist brushing centuries of soil off a single leather boot. It was made in the 1200s, 800 years later. The stitching holds, the leather still flexes, and you can read the craftsman's marks in the tooling. Now think about your modern leather jacket. 2 winters, cracked elbows, fading color, seams splitting. The difference isn't luck. It's 3 lost secrets: time, materials, and human skill that medieval tanners used deliberately, and we traded away for speed and profit. Secret 1: time. Medieval leather wasn't a 24-hour factory product. Vegetable tanning with oak bark, chestnut, sumac, willow, that process ran for months, often a year or more. Tanning wasn't a coat applied to the surface. It was a slow migration where tannin molecules found collagen fibers and formed permanent chemical bonds. Start it quickly, and the tanning can't reach inner fibers. Do it slowly, in seasonal cycles, and the tannins penetrate the full thickness, creating chemical crosslinks that strengthen over decades. The medieval calendar mattered. Bark harvested when tannin content peaked, hides soaked through winter, oils worked in over months. That long cure is why antique leather improves with age instead of degenerating. Secret 2: natural chemistry, not cheap shortcuts. For water resistance and suppleness, they used fat tanning, birch tar, pine pitch, rendered animal oils worked in slowly and repeatedly. These fats polymerize and form flexible, hydrophobic layers inside the fiber matrix, not merely a surface coating. Chestnut and oak tannins produced resilient cross-linking. Sumac delivered softer flexibility for gloves and fine uses. Willow added natural preservatives. These were regionally tuned recipes: Cordoba's horse leather, Russian birchtar leathers, Italian glove leathers, all subtle, multi-ingredient science developed by experiment over generations. Contrast that with modern chrome tanning. Chromium salts in rotating drums convert raw hide into leather inside a day. It's fast, cheap, and superficially uniform. But the chemistry is alkaline and aggressive. Collagen swells, and its natural alignment is damaged even as chromium binds. The result is leather that looks good initially but suffers internal fiber damage that shortens its life. Chrome speeds inventory turnover and locks in planned obsolescence. Secret 3: craft and continuous quality control. Medieval tanners were guild-trained specialists. Apprentices learned to read hides by touch, to judge seasonal tannin strength, to adjust soak times for humidity and temperature. They didn't treat every hide the same because hides aren't identical. Masters monitored pH with plant indicators, adjusted mixes, and reworked hides at the first sign of trouble. Tools were custom, not generic. Knives, fleshing tools, scrapers, shaped by decades of use. Guilds enforced standards and passed down recipes. Human adaptation beat mechanized uniformity. Why do these 3 secrets produce such durable leather? It's molecular. Vegetable tannins create stable covalent crosslinks between collagen chains. Over months, those bonds proliferate and reinforce each other, building a 3-dimensional network that resists stress. Fat tanning inserts lipid layers and phenolic resins between collagen fibrils, creating polymerized, flexible, waterproof zones that actually improve as oils continue to settle in the right pH and temperature cycles. Collagen preserves its natural alignment. Modern chrome tanning, by contrast, too often creates brittle microdamage that shows up in cracking and flaking. There are other practical reasons. Medieval leather lasted. pore structure was preserved so the hide could breathe. Lanolin and residual natural oils continued to protect fibers. No petrochemical surface films stripped the material of its ability to develop a patina. Surface coatings today hide inferior base leather. A thin chrome-tanned piece can be lacquered to look premium for weeks, then peel, revealing the weak structure beneath. That illusion sells well, but fails in the long run. The human cost is also real. Chrome tanning produces hazardous waste and worker exposures that have public health consequences in many tannery regions. Vegetable methods produce biodegradable, far less toxic waste streams. The economics are brutal. A tannery that turns hides in 24 hours reduces warehousing and capital cost massively. So the market favors speed, and economies of scale crush the old guild model. So what does this mean for you, the buyer? Look for vegetable tanned, leather, oak, chestnut, sumac, or labels that explicitly state vegetable tanned and describe the process. Avoid heavily coated or plasticky finishes that hide cheap chrome bases. Expect to pay more, but calculate cost per year of use. Properly vegetable tanned and fat-treated leather, repaired and conditioned, can last decades and improves with age. Learn to care for it. Proper oiling and conditioning replenishes natural fats. Avoid solvents and cheap silicones that strip natural oils. When you see a boot or jacket with hand-stitched seams, heavy single-needle construction, and solid full-grain hide, you're seeing attributes aligned with medieval durability. There's a final point that history keeps shouting at us. Superior materials are still available. Oak bark, sumac, chestnut wood, birch tar. They're accessible if you choose to value longevity over the lowest price. The knowledge exists in a handful of traditional tanneries and restorers. The choice to buy fast or buy for life is ours. Next week, I'll show how to identify vegetable tanned leather in the wild, how to test a hide without destroying it, and what to do to restore and preserve vintage leather goods. Subscribe if you'd rather own things that last than replace what fails.